Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of From Doubts to Endorsement, Becoming a UK Global Talent, featuring Oladapo Folarin. First, before we go into the details of today's session, I would like to let you know that the From Doubt to Endorsement podcast series, you can call it a podcast, you can call it an interview series, you could also call it a masterclass, you can call it practically anything because it is practically a platform for people who have been endorsed as UK Global Talent to share their first-hand real journeys of going of um, of going from wherever they started from, of discovery of the global talent visa route to the UK, to eventually becoming endorsed as UK global talent, right? So in this series, what really happens is that endorsed talent, they share what worked for them, what didn't work, and then what you can learn practically from their own experience. So they practically share their stories and they share insight that they picked along the way. Goloko Diaries is the convener of this, is the host of this series, and then I'm the founder of Goloko Diaries. Goloko Diaries is a global media publishing company, and we specialize in general writing, book publishing, and projects, as well as the UK jobs and the UK jobs and UK visas, right? Then we also do this within as an initiative pioneered majorly by the launch circle by Goloko Diaries, because Goloko Diaries are primary purpose, our core position in life while we're in business is to help people to take their successes on a flight, right? Both literally and also um, abstract wise, right? Both in terms of reality and also in terms of abstraction, in terms of like, okay, success, activation, sort of those things. So the launch circle is more like the community extent, the community expression of everything that Goloko Diaries does in business. So everything as regards initiatives that are run by us that are free for the public are always usually hosted, and our community initiative are hosted via the launch circle. So this is practically like an introduction to this session. Today we'll be having a very wonderful guest. We are having a very wonderful guest. Is live here already with us. And then before I even go into details about who he is and how he got him to be here, I'd like to let you know that this session is going to bring you clarity, right? It's going to bring you clarity wherever you are, whether you're even doubting you qualify for the global talent visa, or you are still considering the path, or you're even you've started work on your application document already and you're about to apply. I can assure you for free that this session is going to give you as much clarity as you need, and you'll be able to go from doubts, if you are currently doubting, to endorsement, or you'll be able to go from clarity to endorsement eventually, whichever the case you might fall in. So tonight rather, it's still, I think it's very early in the morning in the UAE, right, right now. But tonight, West African and also West African time and also UK time, tonight we are having a very wonderful guest, and his name is Mr. Oladapo Folarin. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. But before you come and give us a comment or anything, let me read your extensive profile, right? So, yeah, I have here with me. Oh God, don't mind me, my gadgets are just everywhere. So, Oladapo is a researcher, is a seed certification and crop protection expert, is a published author, speaker, singer. He wears a lot of hats. He wears a lot of hats in one. He's a singer, He's a published author, he's a speaker, he's a mentor, he's a UK Global Talent Visa recipient and coach, and he helps talented researchers increase their chances of being endorsed at the stage 1 of the UK Global Talent Visa in research and academia. By the way, this is going to be our first academia feature. We've had people come from arts and culture. Have you had some? Yes, we've had people from arts and culture. We've had people mainly from technology. And finally tonight, we are having someone from the academia, reaching out to us to share his story with us. He received the UK Global Talent Visa to live and work in the UK after being endorsed by the Royal Society. I think that was in 2022, if I'm correct. He's going to give us clarity on that. Mr. Oladapo has received professional and personal training from a plethora of institutions across Africa, America, Asia, and Europe, a recipient of several research and conference travel grants, and as well collaborated with local and international scientists on research projects. He has a BSc in crop protection, plants virology, that's in brackets, from the University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Nigeria, that is from 2010, and MSc in crop protection, also plant virology, from the University of Abuja, Nigeria, 2020, and an MSc in food security and development from the University of Reading, UK, 2022. Also, he previously worked with the National Agricultural Seeds Council in Nigeria and presently with Syngenta UK. He was an ambassador for the British Society for Plant Pathology BSPP, a member of the Nigerian Society of Plant Protection NSPP, was a member of Connected Plant Virus Network, and a STEM ambassador with STEM Learning UK. He is married and blessed with a child. So everyone, let's just give it up for Mr. Oladapo Folarin, plant science researcher, UK Global Talent. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. It is such great pleasure that we have you on the show. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, very well. It's an honor to be on your podcast program, whichever name you can. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, yeah. So my first question is out of the script you sent to you, sir. The first question I have is that first, I've known about people who got I've known about the people in academia who got the visa and all of those stuff. In fact, I think I was supposed to have a call with someone who is a doctor in surveying. Like all these people are either doctors, they are professors, they are like top people. Like I read all your biography now. Wonderful stuff, by the way. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. But I'm not seeing PhD. And obviously, I'm curious. I want to ask. You're not yet a doctor.
No,
Wow, interesting. So that is very, very interesting because everybody practically thinks the UK global, especially when we leave tech nation, when we leave art and culture, the first thing that comes to our mind is that it is meant for doctors. And now we are having someone who is not a doctor, who is on the global talent. Can you share a bit of that before we go into the details of your story?
first off, I usually jokingly say that I wish I can combine my two masters to be equal to a PhD so that I can be called a doctor. But so that's the by the way. So yes, you're right to say that you're supposed to be a doctor at least to be endorsed for the global talent visa according to the requirements. But there's a I call it caveat But there's an extra bit, there's an addendum to the requirement that says you should have a PhD or equivalent research experience. So you can either have research experience that equals that of the PhD or surpasses that of the PhD. So that is also very clearly stated on the endorsement body's website, which in my case was website. So even though I don't have a PhD, but my research experience, with all humility, surpasses most PhD holders, and that's one of the reasons why I was endorsed for that talent.
Wow, wow. That's very beautiful. That's very beautiful. That's actually very beautiful, and I love the little pride note there. All right, so let's get into the session proper, right? There's no much time on our side, right? So, sir, yeah, I've already read your profile. Would you like to introduce yourself formally to the audience and viewers from across the board?
I think you've already done justice. I don't think there's much I can say. Folarin, obviously, and believer, I'm a child of God. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I love the sciences. I love to mentor and coach people, not just for the global talent endorsement itself, but generally, I'm a calm, quiet person. So though some people find it difficult to believe that I'm a quiet person, but I guess I only speak to I like to speak to when I want to speak. So yeah, as a nutshell, I would say that's who I am. Always very well motivated by people around me, by things I see. I I am motivated by people who've gone ahead of me to achieve the things I would love to achieve. And I also love to encourage people to achieve the best they can achieve. So yeah, I would say not to repeat everything you said. I would say that's me.
Beautiful. Well, maybe because okay, just like you said, many people will not believe like I'm actually calm. But there is something that I actually sense that you are going to be a calm person, like from the onset. I actually sense that. Though obviously your initial appearance doesn't look such, but it's all fine. It's all fine, and your voice is so calm, so thin. You look very collected. Beautiful stuff, I must say. Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much for sharing a bit of yourself. It's great to know that you're a child of God, that you have a child, a father, committed husband, awesome stuff, and obviously a UK global talent. So now, uh, the next question we'll now have to begin our session properly is that what, how were you endorsed, exceptional talent or promise, and then what year?
So I was endorsed as an exceptional promise. So
Okay,
endorsed by the Royal Society in 2022.
2022. Okay, my
Yeah,
guess was very right.
yeah.
Yeah, so okay, good. So then, where were you when you decided to apply?
So how do I answer that question? Okay, let me put a bit of story to that question. In 2020, I decided, okay, let me go back a little bit. I started a master's in Nigeria in 2020, 2018 at University of Abuja. And I was by 2019, 2020, 2020, I was already done with my lab work. I was technically done with my research. I was just waiting to defend my research project. But because of Nigeria, the system in Nigeria, and of course COVID, that was delayed till I think later part of 2020. and officially I didn't graduate in 2021. That wasn't around. So I'm saying that because so when I finished my lab work 2019, 2020. So I was literally PhD hunting since 2019. PhD hunting 2019, 2020. 2020 came. I think I visited the UK early part of 2020, and then because I left the UK a few days later was when the lockdown in the UK started. So based on what I saw, I thought to myself when I got back to Nigeria, at this point I shot over to be more there's over 80 emails to professors, supervisors abroad in the UK, in the US, in China. You know, I was motivated because I was speaking to some professors, though they didn't have funding. So when I got back to Nigeria from the UK, I thought, okay, if I come to the UK to study another master's, still within agriculture, but this time around to understand the social science part of agriculture. And that was why I chose the course I studied, security and development. If I am in the UK, that will make me closer to the PIs and the professors. And then I can speak with them. I'm able to visit them, talk about my interest in doing a PhD, right? So what I did was to search for the best school in agriculture in the UK, which was and is still, funny enough, the number one school in agriculture in the UK is the University of Reading. I know you say reading, but it's spelled reading but pronounced Reading. So, uh, so I did that, applied to the school, got admitted, got an admission. So, got my admission, and that was when I somehow found out about the global talent. So I think it was becoming, was starting to become popular then because the UK had just, Brexit had just happened. Um, so like, was looking for talented individuals. So prior to that, the UP, I think it was an exceptional like that. You accept category.
Yeah, external talent visa.
But yeah, mostly this time around it broader. So I looked at requirements and I read about it. This, this is the reason. Just guess what I or just this is me having faith. I knew practically I met everyone, right? So that because I knew about it, I at that my my admission. So the fine. I come to the UK, I do my master's, but I was also very strategic, even though it was a social science, sort of social science course. My dissertation, my project was still within my field, which is you could call it um, plant pathology. I studied crop protection, and I majored in plant viruses, which is a plant disease. You know. So, but I was still within the plant pathology space, meaning I was still within the plant disease space, right? The only thing was I didn't want to work in a laboratory, so I delved into the IT stroke imaging side of my field. So I said, okay, fine. If I come to the UK to my masters, that also would boost my already solid profile, because I would add the project I work on. I would also speak about that in my application. So yes, I would say I knew about it in Nigeria in 2020, and I ran with my plan. And in 2022 was when I put in my application.
That was one of the most brilliant stories I've heard in my life, especially as regards if you take
Sorry,
I'll just say this.
yeah,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So I said that's one of the most brilliant stories. Sorry for the look on my face. I'm running tired. I had a very long day. So, but to be very honest with you, that was a very exceptional story I'm hearing. There's something I tell people we consult with and people who've consulted that have consulted with us. We tell them that there is a first before we even talk about process, there always need to be an initial personal eligibility check in your heart. You're not deceiving yourself. Can you get this? So it separates you from the pool of not necessarily just using faith like you used, but yes, faith. There is faith, which is faith, and there is just outright process, right? So personal eligibility check. Is this for me? Or can I build for this? So if it is not for you, okay, you can proceed and then maybe look at how can I build for it, right? So that's the option. Or if it is for you, obviously, how do I now position to now get what is mine? So your case is more like from the moment you saw it, you just knew this was for you, but you didn't indulge it the moment you saw it. And which is brilliant because you still wanted to you took your time to no, don't let me go beyond myself. So thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's awesome to know that yes, you saw the click. And I want to ask one question, right? You talked about it briefly, but what really made you decide? Because I know that with the Global Talent Visa, you can study your course. Yes, you have an admission, but the admission doesn't directly give you a student visa. I mean, I work in the visa business. You still have to apply for the student visa. So why did you proceed to get the student visa? Because you know the student visa actually comes with a lot of limitations. And I don't know when you go married, but if you already have a child by now, it means as a then probably you're already either married or about to get married.
So I came to the UK with my family. I already had a family. I already had a
Can
wife.
you imagine? Yeah.
I came to the UK with them. So, but like I said, my aim was to do a PhD.
Mm,
That was the only thing on my mind. So I tell people as well, even though the period I left Nigeria was a period where there was a massive migration of people, I did not travel because of it was what was happening everywhere around me. I was very clear. Like my studying abroad has always been it's something that's always been with me since forever, right? There's another story to that, right from undergraduate to so it wasn't something like that just came up on me.
yeah.
Something that I've always wanted to. So and that was why when I came for my program, my master's program for 1 year, I never applied like to one or two, but I applied to over 10 PhD programs. I was still PhD hunting, you know.
Wow.
But the thing that changed was while I was PhD hunting before I left Nigeria, I didn't land any interview. I was getting calls and discussions with professors, but when I came to the UK, I landed so many interviews, and I was on waiting list for a couple of them, right? But there's this thing about the UK and PhD programs. It's only 30% of the budget from the research body in charge of funding PhD in the UK. Only 30% goes out to international students, meaning everybody from the world. So it's extremely competitive, and then sometimes the positions are not so many. So I'm in a situation where I'm getting, oh sorry, you know, we didn't pick you, and I'm waking up the next day and seeing the same position still advertised, the same PhD still advertised. So and I'm getting across to them, oh boy, I can still see, and then oh, sorry, it's a home student we're looking for, blah blah blah. Yeah, so I I decided to do that because my goal, my aim was to do a PhD. So even though I had two goals, get a PhD and get a global talent visa. So even if I got a PhD, my plan was to do my PhD on a global talent visa, not on a student visa. I was very clear about my goals, about what I wanted. So it was, I'm going to get a global talent visa. I'm going to do a PhD on that global talent visa, not as a student. So that was why I stayed in back to come as a student. And then it was a case of I like to do things well. I say I might not the best in my field, but I put in my all and do my best within my capacity in my field. So embarking on that journey to still come for a master's was putting an icing on the cake for me. I already had a solid profile. I was just boosting the profile, because I still want to do something laudable, impactful within my field, which was at the end of the day, thankfully, thank God. And it was part of also what I spoke about in my application for the Global Talent Visa.
Brilliant, brilliant, so much. That's very brilliant. Like, you just kind of purified my perspective because me, I have a bias against the student visa, honestly speaking, and I don't share it. Maybe because I'm in the business of global talent visa, but like I have a very strong bias for the
But don't
yeah.
forget, they are just changed the rule again concerning student visa. Now you had 2 years plus after your master's program. So what I told myself was, even if I don't get a PhD in 1 year, I still have 2 years to still complete it.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
if I don't get a visa yet, and I still need some time to stay. At least I
hmm,
still have option of applying I still have like option of 2 years for me to still hunt for my PhD.
yeah,
So for
yeah,
me, it was a
yeah.
motivation. For me, there was no rush. When our time was right, I'll put an application for my global talent visa, and I'm still validly legal to stay within the country and still hunt for my PhD. So that was what was going on in my head.
Wow, wow. Okay, I'm still going to share my bias about the student visa. I don't like that thing, right? And but it's awesome to know is good, and that is why these sessions are very, very important because people get to see strategy. They just get to follow through your process, and you can, based on your story, for example, and many other stories that were featured, and many other stories that we're going to feature in the coming days. They get to see strategy. They get to see process in place. So here am I'm speaking with, and I think you're the first person. Okay, uh, if my memory serves me right, you are either the first or the second person who got to the UK on the student visa. But yours is now Dixon because you knew about this global talent visa before you got to the UK, and then decided you did Orikuku. That's the word. So, but my bias for the student visa, number one, the fact that, and you even relocated as a family man. Well, you are stubborn, Sha, and or you present yourself as stubborn because I mean, you were in the UK for a year, you didn't apply for a job. How are you feeding yourself?
So, like I said, I have a family, so obviously my
Mhm.
wife is,
Ooh,
and
wow,
then I
wow.
was I was doing
God, remember us men, oh.
and then as a student in the UK, you're allowed to work 20 hours.
Yeah,
So I was doing that
yeah.
as well. So it was a
Okay.
combined effort, to run the family. So
Wow, amazing stuff. It's like I'm revealing your life story right here. I feel like we can publish a book on this right now. But thank you so much for sharing. So you already, from everything you shared, you already shared why you decided, why you chose the global talent visa route, right? It was something that you discovered while you were PhD hunting in Nigeria, and then, but you decided to go for your master's, get the student visa instead, because you wanted to have the PhD and the global talent together. So now, obviously, follow-up question. Are you now currently on your PhD? Are you currently working on your PhD?
it's a funny question because so many of my friends think some people even call me doctorate. Well,
Oh, wow.
I never started my PhD. Though I got an admission from the university where I did my master's, but it wasn't a funded opportunity. I was supposed to pay out of pocket. Then I ain't paying out of pocket. So, but I would say for me, it was a journey God planned already because I sort of got my visa and the job I'm doing now about And the only reason why I, so the reason why I'm not doing a PhD now is, so the PhD programs in the UK are like, they're in cycles. So by September of any year, most times, not all the time, but over 80% of the time, if you have not landed a funded PhD yet, by September, most like most like there's nothing for you for that year. You have to wait till the next year. So the programs have a time when the application opens. You have a time when the application ends. You have their interview period. The time when they announce who the students that got the funding are, and the time when you're going to start. So by September, it was very clear to me there was no PhD for me in 2022. The one from my university, Reading, I deferred it to the next year because obviously I didn't have. Even if I had that much, I wouldn't pay that much to do a PhD. So at that point in time, it was clear to me because I obviously I have a family that I needed to continue earning. So that was the only time I went online to search for a job. And I was also very specific. Now I know people's story are different, people's motivation are different, people's circumstances are different. Because I'm a very clear person. Or I try. I'll say I try to be as clear as possible. Right? I go for what I want. I might not land what I want exactly, but I land close to what I want. So going online for me was about searching for research jobs in plant science. Right? And then where I work now pops up as one of the options. Apply to it, and I landed the job. So then I thought, okay, I have a job now. Now the thing is, for PhDs in the UK, you are limited to a particular amount every year, even though the money is not taxed, but it's just a fixed income. Obviously, the job I'm doing pays more than the PhD. So if I start a PhD, it means I'm downgrading financially. Am I ready for that?
This scenario where the PhD is just like added.
So
Because
that's
I
yeah,
mean, as a global talent visa holder now, you don't need to take one for one. You can take the two or more together. Am I
yeah,
correct?
yeah, I can. So, but in my situation, it's a matter of, so if I take the two together, like, so when I mean take the two, is like take a job and take the PhD, right? It means I will have to do the PhD part time. I can't do a PhD full time with a job. It's not going to be possible. So it's two things. I do a full time job. That's if my employer agrees, and I do my PhD part time. It's difficult. It's not impossible, but it's difficult to see someone ready for you to do a PhD part time with the funding they have. The funding is always, timed. There's a timeline to everything, right? The other thing is get an employer that would, employ you part time, and maybe you can do the PhD full time or part time as well. That in itself is not easy. So I'm at the stage where it's a matter of trade-off, one thing. But then my PhD dream has not been deleted. It's only been paused. I've only suspended it. At the right time, I'm going to embark on
Let's let's pray for you.
it.
Let's pray for you. No, simply like I'm trusting God for you, and then I'm declaring it that in the name of Jesus, a ram caught in the ticket, God makes you see it. And the ram can be anything, right? It can be anything. Because I know, for example, and time will obviously fail us to really go into the details. I know, for example, that with the global talent visa that you have in your hand, you have like a platform for you to really flex, right? So
Yeah.
a ram caught in the ticket that is choicest for you, right, and the family to thrive beyond, what the dreams are. Between now and the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 months, in the name of Jesus. God will complete the cycle is completed by God's grace. So that's just thank you so much for sharing that, right? So the next thing is, yes, what was your biggest challenge, with documenting evidence, mindset for the global talent visa? Before we now go into the details of, okay, let us talk about how you actually, your process, the route. But what was your biggest challenge to start with?
I've said it countless times, and I had a conversation, long conversation, meeting someone, and I also still mentioned this. And I've had a couple of interviews I've mentioned this. I know you mentioned pride when we started, but I'm not permit me to use a prideful person. I'm not a proud person. But the truth is, there was no challenge for me. If you want to call it challenge, the only challenge for me was how to arrange what I have or what I had. Because it's like someone has too much money. His problem is how to spend it. Right? I had everything.
That's a good problem. Please, that's a good problem. Because, for example, now, as a businessman that I am, if I have such a client, it is easier for me. You get,
Yeah.
like, and for example, I have some clients like that currently who we're working with in tech, though. Like, they have more than the evidence. So they're like, okay, which one are we going for?
Yeah.
And it's a good thing, really. It's a good thing. It's a good place to be.
Yeah.
No, please go
So
ahead.
if you call that a challenge, I would say that was my challenge. It was about how do I put these things together? Which one do I use? Which one do I not use? Because and I also going back to what I said earlier as well, God already prepared me for the journey without my knowing. Because I mean, all my years of working, being diligent, doing the things I love to do, I never knew anything about global talent, right? Not until 2020. So it was just arranging my documents, my evidences together. Yeah, so
So that is again very amazing.
but I want people to also know this is my own story. This is my journey,
Yes, this is
right?
your own story,
Which
obviously.
might not
Caveat,
exactly.
caveat.
This is my own
Um,
story. This is my journey.
and again, when we look at it very intuitively, I think because the reason, for example, I'm in the business, Mr. Oladapo, the reason I'm in the business of global talent is because I hate the narrative where Nigerians are living. I'm a Nigerian in Nigeria, and I do not necessarily like the whole mentality behind the Japan narrative. Or I'm leaving the country because maybe they feel the country is not working, and they just want to by any means leave the country. No, I mean the perspective. I'm not against relocation. I'm not against you going for study. I'm not against you because, in fact, from Bible days now, for example, we understood that even thriving economies in the days of King Solomon needed the support of other thriving economies by expatriates, by means of expatriates, by means of sending resource persons over to that country, go and learn how they make ships, come back to Israel and come and implement here. Because there is no economy that will thrive without that commercial relationship of between they call it export imports, but this time around talent, importing and exporting talent, right? There is no, we can't build an economy without that. So it is very, very needed. In fact, for we to really build a thriving economy, the citizens, we are in, especially in a democracy, the citizens in that democracy need to be exposed. But if what we are exposed to is, schools, primary schools where we are still using like wood for the seats, it is going to take us a long time to really achieve what, to the extent of what the world has achieved. We need to shoot people outside of where we currently are, get them to see how people think in the outer world, and they come back to their local communities and find something to implement. But when people are leaving the country because they cannot make it in their country, so to say, it becomes a situation of we are begging, practically refugee situation. if they might try to position it in another way. Oh, it's student route that they are going for. Your own student route is different from that. A lot of people who are engaging the student route of the UK is because they are finding an excuse to just leave the nation, right? So, and then after that, their plan is obviously to find a way to eventually seek asylum, in a sense, or the nearest options. But the global talent, what it does is that it helps you, and that is literally what the UK is looking for. You've been a local champion, as a local champion, in a sense. And local here is not a derogatory word, right? Yeah. So you've been a local champion, in a sense. Come and help us on the global scale to achieve the results we're looking to achieve. And obviously, and that is why the visa comes with a lot of flexibility. We know that you are a talent. Do you understand? The UK, all the other visas that I know, for example, skilled worker visa, the person cannot leave without full, detailed documentation with their employer and with the UK government. They can't leave the UK. Student visa, you can't leave the UK without this proper stuff, because there are systems in place. You are year for year, you have to be here. But global talent visa, they're even saying that, bro, we understand that you might be very busy. You want to live 6 months outside of the UK. Please, you can go ahead. Just at least help us contribute to what we are trying to do. We want to achieve to be the number 3 in the world economy, that and all of that. Just come and contribute to us. That's practically so. The mindset of the global talent visa is really what made me. I'm like, if people work 5 years to just get admitted in a school, quote unquote, whether UK, US, how about you work 5 years and build local championship, where you are now confident, like Mr. Oladapo here, to apply for the global talent, and then you're going there, you are not limited by, oh, you can't work more than 20 hours a week to start with. They first serve you that, and several of those things like that. So that is my main bias about the entire order route process, and that is why yours is like a very, very wonderful story for me to actually be sitting over, right? That you're someone that because this is the mindset I'm trying to sell. This is the mindset we're trying to put out there. Please prepare yourself, regardless of your work. Just find out, even if you are not considering relocating, align yourself with the requirements. Whether or not you be needing to relocate soon or later, by the time you're done aligning yourself with the requirements, you're a global person, you're a global voice. You are someone that that you are someone like with the mindset of you, that like you are. Anything comes up you want to apply for, that except they want to raise up enchantment or whatever, this is yours. And then with someone who now knows that they have God, we know that no enchantment can come for them. So it's just like a lot of layers of backing. So that's like the mindset I'm really trying to say. And I hope that very soon we get there. I don't know. Yeah, don't let me talk so much about myself, because this is not about me. It is about you. Don't let me take the show, right? So, is yes, it is. It might look as though that is for you, but this is something that can be traded. This is a mindset that every other person is even the right mindset to have. You should be overloaded, right, with the requirements. So now, can you take us in a bit of a detail of your route for the global talent visa, so that my audience say, because your route is definitely quite different from the most popular route, is different from Tech Nation, is different from arts and culture that looks similar to Tech Nation. Yours is even majorly sponsoring those that are not even showing their face in the public, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, so my
Yeah.
route was in research and academia. So they say research and academia because academia, obviously, you're within the educational institutions, universities. But then you can also carry research in industry, right, which is also counted. It could be research institutions, it could be private companies or whatever. So my route was research and academia. Then because I'm under the natural science, yes, natural science, Yeah, natural sciences. I was endorsed by the Royal Society. So the Royal Society is endorsing body in charge of life sciences and natural sciences as well. So yeah, and then I applied under the peer review route as well. So there are also sub routes. You, you could either apply to the endorsed funders or through, there are some other fast track methods, endorsed funders. There's the one of you have some particular roles, you know, like getting three other rounds. But mine was under the peer review route.
Peer review route like because for me, I feel like the peer review route is like the still of all the routes of the global talent visa, sir. The peer review is the one that requires only two submissions. Like you're practically, am I correct?
What do you mean by two submissions?
Like I think you're submitting just your CV, a
Nah,
letter,
that's not correct.
and a statement.
That's not correct.
But so what are you submitting? Or
You need to
what big
submit your evidences.
evidence
Ev-
for peer
ev-
review?
Yes, you don't need your CV, yes, standard, personal statement standard,
Mm-hmm.
letter of recommendation, depending on either if you're applying as an exceptional talent or exceptional promise.
Yeah,
Exceptional
yeah, yeah.
one recommendation letter. Exceptional talent, you need two recommendation letters.
Yes.
And you need to show evidences. Now, evidences depends on how you want to package that.
Mm.
Nobody says it has to be this number, it has to be this amount. That's up to you to showcase yourself as a talent in your field. So it's a heavy documentation process, which different from the other routes. The other routes are fast track methods. The other routes are the routes where you probably need just one letter, from the HR or from the funder to submit, and then you get it. And it's very fast. But the peer review route is heavily documented. And peer review, as the name implies, means that they are getting experts within your field to look through your application. So they are the ones that will decide if you are fit to be endorsed or not. The same way, for people who are familiar with the academic publishing space, you submit your manuscript to particular journals, and then they peer review it. They send it to experts within your field to look at your write-up, and they tell you if your manuscript can be accepted for publication or not. So it's the same way. So I would say it's one of the most difficult routes to get endorsed by the global talent.
Wow. I've always thought that it's like the simplest because it's like they have removed all the things. They're not saying well, okay. I think the perspective is that because it is the one that is not necessarily requiring a lot of things coming from the UK primarily. And those funders route, there is the individual fellowship route, there is the funders route, which is the UKRI, and there's the peer review route. So the others, okay, and I think there is another route, which is the academic job route. So
Yeah.
academic job route, funders route, fellowship route, all of these require something like all of those things should have come from the UK. So academic job, again, people like they got offered a job position in a university. That's particular. So okay, well that's true.
Your recommendation has to be from the UK.
Yeah. Your recommendation has to be from the UK. But for the peer review route, you now submit what you have done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
you submit.
they classifies you as exceptional talent.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So now, last question in this series, in this no, not last question, penultimate question. There are still other questions because what we're doing is like a deep dive, right, into your global talent story. So we'll now transit to the next layer. Oh, we are 1 hour down into the call. Wow, time flies greatly. So, what really helped you to succeed? I know you have said it some things in passing, but clear to people who, especially people who are like still doubting here and there, who would watch this, and also people who literally want to launch into the possibilities that you're currently operating on. What really helped you to succeed in becoming endorsed as a UK global talent and up to this point?
First, I would say God. Second, I would say diligence. So when you're diligent with whatever you find to do, God will place you in rooms, that you probably did not think you would be. I think this is also written somewhere in the Bible, right? So for me, that was my case. Particularly an individual who puts in the best into whatever field or whatever I find myself doing. At the point in my life, I was working with a logistics company. I was already thinking about building myself. Then I found myself back to agriculture, and then I started my journey. So I say diligence because I worked with the agency in charge of state certification in Nigeria, and I worked closely with the director general, who, most people call the chief executive, the CEO. Then I had to, because of my diligence, I was involved with a plethora of projects, a couple of projects within the organization. And these were some of the things that helped me to gain the skills and experiences and the collaborations which helped me for the global talent visa. Right. So you're working on projects where you have collaborators from the UK. And then one of these collaborators is the one writing, some of these collaborators are the one writing your recommendation letters for you. Right. You're working on projects where you were just giving your best in the project, and then when it's time for you to apply to submit for your endorsement, you're writing about this project because you wrote proposals to get grants, you worked on the project, and you also worked in the lab. I was working in the lab as well. I'm a plant pathologist. I was working in molecular laboratory. I was working on projects, and then a blessing for me. I know COVID was so many things to so many people. Challenging period for so many people. But for some people, in a way, it was a blessing. I'm one of those I would say, in a way, COVID was a blessing. Before COVID, the best I did was to read academic articles. I've been involved with one or two publications industrially based on my work. I contributed to some projects that were published, right? But academic publication, the best I knew about that, reading them. COVID happened, and my supervisor gets in touch with me to say, Oladapo, don't you think you should start publishing? And I laughed. Publishing. Because publishing to me was like a novice coding. When they tell you, oh, come and learn how to code, don't worry. Coding. So that was how publishing was to me, that was how writing was. And she was like, don't worry, it's not difficult. I'll send you a couple of my publications or articles, use them as a template. So at this time, like I remember I told you I finished my lab work for my master's. I was just waiting to defend. So she was like, from your research work, you can pick out, you know, some some things to talk about. And as Nigerians we say, like play, just like that. I think I ended up publishing 3 articles out of my master's project. Then again, because my project took some time, remember I told you I got admitted in 2018, I officially did not finish like 2020, 2021. I was able to ride on my research work, meaning that I was applying for funding from even bodies outside of Nigeria, universities outside of Nigeria, to get some grants to do one or two things, travel grants, collaborate, to collaborate and do some other stuff. That was because my project was still active because I had not finished my project. It was still active. So I was able to ride on it for this purpose. So, but all this, so like I mentioned diligence because I wasn't the only student doing my master's, but I was, if not only one, or one of the few that the supervisor approached and said, would you like to publish? And that was not allowed me to publish my own. I also collaborated with other colleagues and students on their own research, which ended up being published as well. And I was also able to mentor and guide people on how to go about publication. And talking about diligence, my being able to, my being an author, academic author, helped me so much when I got to the UK for my master's because the master's program in the UK is totally different from what we do in Nigeria. So when so many of my colleagues, Nigerian colleagues or African colleagues, were struggling with writing, we write a lot of, thesis, a lot of essays. I wasn't struggling my writing. I was helping some of my colleagues, not writing for them, but guiding them on how to write. Because there are things with regards to plagiarism, things like that. So I already had that experience based on my being a published author. So that's part of being diligent, right? So I would say those were the two key things that helped me, that placed me on the track I was supposed to be able to get endorsed at the end of
Two powerful things. The first one, God. God. Okay, I want to give you the privilege. I want to give you the room to actually talk about God because you talked about diligence. So tell us about God as one of the keys that help you to succeed here.
So God is everything aligning for you. God is, you're not clamoring for positions, and out of the blues you've been selected, right? So there are things that you're part of, but you're not leading them. They are high profile meetings, without your knowledge, where decisions are being made. And then there are other names, prepared names for we should lead this, but your name pops up as this is the person that's gonna lead this. And leading those things are the things that helped you down the line to apply for an endorsement for something called global talent. That can only be good. You because of your diligence and your good character, your bosses in the office, you know, you're doing things for them, things that they would normally not give to anyone to do. But because of the trust and diligence, they give you stuff to do. And then this stuff as well, you also become part of it. And being part of it, you're being part of an international space. And down the line, these things help you for something called endorsement for the global talent visa. So that can only be good. So it's more like you can't see the future, but someone's already preparing you for the future. And you were only aligning, you could only have aligned with that by your own diligence. Because you could have backed out and say, I'm not interested in doing this. It's not my business. It's not my responsibility. So why should I do this? So, but then you're being diligent is you saying, oh, There's no problem. I'm gonna do this. I can do this. Right. So I would say that's God.
Man, that was amazing, right? Really amazing, I must say. Uh, but yeah, I'll still probe further. I have a question, right? Because we have to be very, I like to be very, very specific here, right? So now, what's your relationship with God like? And when I'm saying relationship with God, we have various religions in the world, and I've not done this in any of the episodes so far, right? But definitely, personally, I have a very strong affiliation, or and not myself and all the systems that has to do with me. But I want to hear from you, right? I want to know what exactly like your relationship with God is like, right? And then so people can learn from that and be able to, implement. If you're saying one of the things that helps you succeed is God, and you described how it really helps you to succeed, or the systems you put in place to help you to succeed, and you also talked about diligence on your own part. So, what's your relationship with God like? So, so that somebody can be considered. Stop. You are muted.
Yeah. Sorry, can you
Uh,
repeat what you
yeah, I
asked
said,
me?
what's your relationship with God like?
Oh, okay. I would say everyone's in relationship with God is individualistic. But my own relationship with God is more on the spiritual level. I know so many people. I don't. I'm not. So now there's this thing. There's a difference between being religious and being spiritual, right? I believe in spirituality rather than being religious. If you're too religious, you can just be all about certain uh, practices, you know, things you do day in, day out. But having a relationship with God is speaking to Him as a father. It's like a father and child relationship. As a child, you speak to your father, ask for things, tell him things, discuss with him. And I would say that's my relationship with him. And as well as a child, you have to understand that you need to listen to your father, right? Because your father is there to guide you so that you don't make certain mistakes, right? So ability to listen as well, I would say it's part of the things that describe my relationship, my own personal relationship. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Mr. Oladapo. And this is to anyone out there, right? This is an invitation. I've not done this before, especially on these sessions. I've not done this before, but I am inviting everyone and anyone you're watching this, you're looking at how to actually develop a spiritual relationship with God. The only way you can develop a spiritual relationship with God is through the pathway that Jesus Christ has created, right? For God so loves every one of us. He loves Mr. Oladapo. He loves me. He loved the world. He gave his only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, to die for everyone on the cross of Calvary. That anyone who believes in him should have an everlasting life, and the person should not perish. And by this everlasting life, these people have, that we have, we are able to engage, the systems of God that God has set in place to profit us. Things like the forces of time and chance at work in us, being at the right place at the right time. The intentionality of God of crashing seemingly unconnected situations to eventually positioning us for things that would make sense for us in the future, right? And several of these things. And obviously, it is on this foundation that we get the strength and diligence, the strength to be able to be diligent in our side of the coin. And this is what I technically believe that Mr. Oladapo was saying, right? They were saying scientifically. So, yeah, thank you so much. So, I'll be going to the next question now. And this next question is so, and the next series of questions. So, we have the interactive part right now. And we had some people join us before, but they have left again. But I think people would ask us questions on the show. I have questions here also from people that will add in time past, right? So one of the questions here is that what do you wish you knew before applying for the global talent visa? You are closing up already. Yeah, what's the
Again,
you know?
I've also discussed this a lot in the past, and again, going back to the question you asked me about challenges, the honest truth is nothing. Because
Woo!
I did the right thing the first time.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, like I
By
said, that's my story.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. By the way, well, literally, my team is literally going to make a shout out to everyone. Like, this is the sixth person coming on this episode. And the major reason I started from that to endorsement was because everywhere I turned to, I got rejected. Everywhere I turned, I got rejected. I'm like, six person in a row. First application for the global talent visa, bam, endorsed. Various backgrounds, some stumbled into it. There was even one that was like an engineer that was not engineering related to technology at all, digital technology. But one way or the other, I just figured it out, and before you know it, endorsed. I'm like, first application, so it makes a lot of sense. So thank you so much for being, and I know this is a sign to everyone watching, and everyone that would watch, and everyone that would come in contact with content like this, especially referring to us and this series in the future. Right now, that your first application is going to be your best application in Jesus' name. So yeah, um, we already talked about how you gathered your letters of recommendation. The last question I just have right here um, is a personal question. It's dear to my heart. It's very dear to my heart. And you can just tell us, after this, you can now tell us like your passing word. Then we'll do a, a face out, and then we'll call this show an end for the night. So this question is, Mr. Oladapo, I know you said you were not thinking to jackpot. Yes, you're not thinking to jackpot. I know you said that. No, you don't know the question I want to ask. I know you are smiling already. You don't know the question I want to ask. But the question I want to ask also implies the question you are thinking about. Hey, God, I don't let me confuse you. So, literally, yeah, the global talent gives you the opportunity, a short route towards permanent residency, the British passport, becoming a British citizen. Are you ready? Are you preparing to say goodbye to Nigeria? I'm no longer a citizen of Nigeria. That's necessarily not what it means when you become a British citizen. But are you looking to engage this possibility? I mean, since 2022 that you've been on the visa, it should be something you're planning to work on for 2027. Is it
yeah,
still the
even though you said, that's not what personally, I tell people you don't burn bridges. And that's also part of saying, so you're moving to another country, and you're saying, I mean, people have different reasons for leaving. Some people are, so that might determine their decisions in the future. For me, it's a matter of I'm global citizen, right? So I should be able to move anywhere freely.
love that? Yeah, I love that. And I mean,
Yeah,
the British passport is one of the most powerful passports in the world.
yeah. And so I should have
Wow. So,
with
yeah,
access to my own country. I should be able to collaborate between both sides of the world. I should be able to, transfer knowledge between both sides of the world. So I'm still actively, you know, connected to both countries. So yeah, I'm somewhere in between. I'm considering that as well. So that would help my mobility in terms of ability to do research and also personally as well.
I love that. I love that. So, and obviously, that is in fact the major reason we also in business. Like, it is not just about the global talent visa, it is about the very, very easy route towards global citizenship. I think,
Imagine someone who has been invited to a conference, scientific conference, and then they have to apply for visas because they are Nigerian, or and then
I am telling you.
visa delayed or visa refused, and you're not able to attend. Like
Mm,
costs a lot of things. So,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. And I'm still trying to find the mathematics to this, or I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. Uh, but I kind of feel like if we get more Nigerians, this is now coming back to Nigeria. I mean, we're both Nigerians, right? If we get more Nigerians to be global citizens, which means that they actually get like second passports that are top renowned and all of those things. That's there should be a somewhat direct influence it has on the economy of the nation. I've been trying to wrap my head around it, and when I'm saying it has a um, result, a direct effect on the economy of the nation, I'm talking even to the validity and to the extent of what the Nigerian passport can cover. Because currently, I think the Nigerian passport can only do 40 countries out of over 200 countries. And uh, I don't know, have you ever thought about it?
I mean, for me, it's about that you mentioned it earlier. The fact that you have so many, we have population on our side. So the fact that there are so many Nigerians abroad, economically, has its advantage in terms of. I mean, I don't have the figures, but yeah, in terms of the amount that's being repatriated back to Nigeria based on citizens living abroad. That's one. In terms of the human capacity as well, don't forget, for example, a global talent living in the UK, your capacity is being developed. The things you see, the things you do on a different level, probably different from home. You're able to go back home and then, transfer this knowledge, and then you're also able to support the development of the facilities, the equipment, the processes, like the way research is done here is different from the way research is done back home. You know, should tell ourselves the truth. But so as having this experience, you're in a better space to go back and impact the economy or impact the system, right? So it's not just about personal mobility. Yes, that is good for yourself, but talking about the economic importance of it, right? You're able to support development of processes, infrastructures, equipment back home where you're coming from. Just like the educational system, like I mentioned, it's totally different. If you become a lecturer here, you can decide to go back home and try to, help to transform the educational system to the way it's supposed to be. It doesn't happen in one day, but it's a gradual process. We've had so many of examples in the past. I mean, one of the past uh, ministers of agriculture in Nigeria did a very good job. He's a product of the international space, right? So it's based on that knowledge and skill he was able to get outside the country. He brought back to the office where he functioned, and that helped him. So we have lots of examples, and there will always be more examples. So yeah, I think there's economic importance to it.
Very, very, very beautiful. So, yeah. So finally, not for I don't want. Okay, I think we have someone who joins join. If anybody still asks a question aside all these questions I've asked, you could raise your hand right now, right? Because I mean, we are 8 minutes ready to let our guest go, right? If our guest is not there, you can see me. I'm sleeping on this call already. That's just a joke, right? Thank you so much, Mr. Oladapo, for the session. Uh, okay, I can see Victory on the call joining from Telegram. Do you have any questions for our guest, Victory? If you have any question, you can just raise your hand and then we can bring it forward. So while I stay engaged. So on my own end, obvious, and this was better. That was supposed to be my last question before God and man. I've told you a lot of last questions now, right? But I want to ask. So, would you like to come back to Nigeria, or what are your plans for Nigeria as your home country?
I mean, for me, I work in the agri space. So, I mean, obviously, part of my plan is to help develop the agri space, I mean, within Nigeria, especially the research space. I mean, with the knowledge I have, being able to go back and collaborate and help develop, also consult as well in helping to make things happen. Yeah, and as well, I mean, in addition to that, I'm big on mentorship. It's at the core of my goals to be able to mentor the young people within the country to aspire, understand processes, within the agricultural research space, right? And do things the right way. I mentioned being diligent, right? People need to be diligent. But then again, you need to work smartly these days. There are a lot of tools that can help you to scale over a whole faster than probably 3, 4 years back. You've been able to use these tools to your advantage, use them in the right way. Right. So these are some of the things that down the line I plan to do as well. But not politics.
Oh Lord.
Yeah,
So
but to help agriculture research.
yeah. Time will fail me for me to even talk about my perspective into politics. I feel like time will fail me. Let us not go there. But I just pray God strengthens you to really achieve some of these desires you have, right? Is because it's a load of work. It's not just a lot of work, it's a load of work. And then strength comes to you. Well, that's why you're in the international space as a global talent anyway. Okay, so Victory has a question. Victory, you can go ahead and unmute your mind and let us hear your question. We can hear you, yes, Victory.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, beautiful. We can hear you now.
You can hear me. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so yes, I think it's been such a great session so far, and yeah, learned quite a lot from your experience about sharing your story of your global talent visa. And yeah, I know personally mine is in the aspect of arts and culture. I know yours is not, but from your experience, you can still have possibly one or two things to say about it. I wanted to ask if you have, I know the recommendations has to come from like three sources, like in the aspect of arts and culture, from the council that has to endorse one. You have to have an organization in the UK, you have to have one internationally, and the third one could also be maybe a person who is an established personality in your field. It could be anywhere. So I wanted to ask, in the case whereby you are trying to apply for the Global Talent Visa and one doesn't have a specific organization in the UK that is known as an arts organization established, but there's an organization that is maybe, for instance, an education charity, but in the capacity in which I worked with them was based on a spoken word performance. So they are not an organization that is based on arts theater. They are an education charity called Their World. But I also worked with them in the capacity of a project, storytelling project, and I also worked with them as a spoken word performer during the United Nations General Assembly in New York. In that case, can one use that organization as a reference for the one that should come from the UK?
Unfortunately, I'm not be able to answer that question because the requirements are slightly different for the research and academia route. But my advice would be two things. You can either go ahead and apply using them, or you can sort the advice of someone who has the expertise of the art and culture to be able to give you the advice. So you have two options. Because for research and academia, what you need is a recommendation letter from an eminent person within your field, and the person must be living and working in the UK. That's very clear. So, but this you just mentioned doesn't apply to the research and academia route.
All right, so victory, yeah, just like following what Mr. Oladapo said, exactly. The truth is about definition, academia and research, art and culture. They are vast, different stuff, right? Uh, but his recommendation to stands out, very, very valid, solid, right? Which is you either go with them because at the end of the day, you'd have to use what you have, quote in quotes, right? Then the second thing, also in terms of advice, is to get specific, specialized knowledge on this, right? And whereas I think we addressed something like this in the art and culture session when we had a photography person come on board to someone was endorsed as a UK global talent by the Arts Council England. I think we addressed something like this. But personally, also professionally, from my own understanding of this, I would recommend that you go ahead with what you have. But the worst case scenario could also be that you could also seek the possibility of engaging like an additional experience with something that fits perfectly into the narrative that the requirement is requesting for. So there are processes to this. It could be that it could be that you could request to get someone to refer you like to a prominent firm in the UK, arts organization in the UK, for just a session. It could be an online session with them. That could just be that is also like the worst case thing that you can do if you do not feel confident enough in leveraging what you currently have, right? But obviously, I would also recommend to you that you can proceed. We could have specialized conversation after this. We could reach out to the team, Go Diaries to also assist you. We can professionally assist with anything revolving around that because we are positioned to actually really assist with the various routes. So, Victor, I don't know if that answered your question, and if you still have another question, Bruno.
Thank you so much. So one more question that I have is to Mr. Oladapo. I would like to ask for your recommendation or the recommenders. During your time, did you create a draft of your letter and you sent it to your recommenders to now refine and send it back to you, or you just give them the information about you and allow them write it on your behalf? So did you draft it yourself and all that it entails and what you want, and then send it to your recommenders for them to now add the finishing touches to now send it back to you? Or how did you do it during your time?
I
And
would
another thing is, the second one is, how did you know the template to follow for your recommendation?
I would say there's no it all depends on the preference of the recommender.
Your mic. Victor, can you mute the mic, please? All right.
The
Yeah.
recommenders would usually have the way of doing things. They will have their preference. So it's more about the recommenders, not much about how you want to do it. The most important thing is that, like for Royal Society that I got endorsed under, they are very clear on what the letter should contain. How does this person know you? In what capacity? Um, can they talk? Can they speak to the work you've done in the past that makes you talent? You know, can they talk about your plans if you're endorsed and if you stay back in the UK? What are your future plans? So they're clear on the most important things that should appear in the letter. So it's not really about how you want to write. So it's both a function of how you want the letter to and also what is expected, what the endorsing body is expecting you to have in the letter. But how you present how you produce that letter is more of the recommender. Some recommenders would rather write about you by themselves based on what they know about you. Some of them will say, give me a draft, I'll work with that. So it's different for person A, it's different from person B, it's different from person C. It depends on how the recommender wants. It's important, like I said, just repeating myself, as long as the main things, the main point, the endorsing body needs is in the letter, then you're good, you're fine. So if, for example, if the recommender says, "Oh, I want to write it," you you have to tell them, or maybe a screenshot, send them the website, or write it out. Okay, please, you need to you need to mention this in the letter. You need to highlight this in the letter. So yeah, that would be my response to that.
That was very, very beautiful. So, Victory, did this do justice to your?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, beautiful. So, what I will just add to that as we round up now, because we need to really go off now, is this that not even an addition, practically like just rubbing off on personal experience or company experience with the people we've served, right? Is that we've had situations where we send like a a script. A script is not a draft. A script to recommenders of our clients to say, okay, this is exactly what we're looking for. We sent like 2 or 3 of those last week, still last week, for some of our clients. To say, okay, this is exactly what this person needs to be documented in this. That can you please write based on this perspective, right? So we'll also add cases with clients where, for example, most of last year we hopped on call sessions with some of the recommenders of our clients to say, okay, this person, how do you know them? Because the recommenders are very busy people too. If you as a global talent is a hard thing for me to get to speak with you, how much more the person we're supposed to recommend you? You get what I'm saying? So they are very, very busy people. So many of them to not have the time. So, and the time they have, they just want to talk, because writing is different from talking. Writing requires time. Talking, you ask me the question, just like this now. If I sent you, okay, that I wanted to do a future interview with you, and I sent you all the questions, you answer me, the way I will chase you to give me response, Mr. Oladapo, it will be different from this one that we're just having the call. You've seen the script, you know what you had prepared for the session already before now, but you are now able to answer me. So it also really helps, right? So we've had sessions like that, and then when we came up with the POVs, we still sent to the clients, to the recommenders, and they now fine-tune it based on what they shared and based on what they know about the person they want to recommend, and they sent their own this thing. There also had cases where we actually came up with a draft. Our client, who is the person who is applying, the GTV applicant, is saying, okay, this is how I know this person, and we just came up with a POV based on the standard requirements from the various endorsing routes, and then it's sent to the recommenders or referees, and those ones, they do whatever correction they need to do. They add their letterheads, they put all the other contact details and all those stuff. So is also is necessary, just like you said. Summarily, it is the preference of the referee. Is the preference of the referee or recommender. Is not to be determined by, and that is why I tell people, you don't rush the global talent visa application, because you're a referee, you're going to engage them. And again, unlike every other visa, you don't do the global talent visa application in silence. Everybody must know. Your village people must know you're working on it. Because we will write you recommendation letters. All right. So again, so I would say, to wrap this up, we've had a very wonderful session. Now I believe that everyone who have gone through this session, you can now go from doubt to endorsement, or you can go from confidence to endorsement, like Mr. Oladapo. But the point is, I'm definitely sure that this session should have given you a little bit of confidence in yourself. Okay, Victory, you have another question. We are 8 minutes deep into Mr. Oladapo's time. Right. Mr. Oladapo, would you be willing to answer this? And I believe this is going to be his last question.
If it's a short question, this is a 4 seconds question.
Okay, 4 seconds question. Let me get into it. All right, Victory.
All right. Thank you so much. So it's just short. So based on what the answer he gave about the organization that is recommending, and what Denu added to the conversation, that okay, if it is something that is workable, that you can work with what you have, or now maybe create a session with an organization that is in the UK. So in our brought, I came to the realization that what if there are two options now? There is that organization that is like an educational charity, but the capacity I work with them is based on art. There is also another one, which is Wale Shrinka International Cultural Exchange. Wale Shrinka International Cultural Exchange. So the founder is in the UK. He's based in the UK, lives in the UK. But so the founder of the organization is based in the UK and he lives in the UK. So he's in charge of the Wale Shrinka International Cultural Exchange. So, but now the address of the man can carry the UK, but I think the organization might be based in Nigeria, but it is the Wale Shrinka International Cultural Exchange Program. So, in that case, what would you say to that? Anybody can answer.
Again, I don't have the details about the art and culture, but you have to follow the rules. If the rule states the company has to be a UK company, even if the founder is living in the UK and the company is registered in Nigeria, that's not a UK company. If the UK company has to be registered in the UK. It doesn't matter where the CEO or the founder, as long as the company is a UK company, so reside in the UK, that makes it a UK company. So, like I said, still go back to my response. You have two options. You go with which best fits the requirement. If you don't have any other choice, then you go with what you have, or you speak to someone who's an expert in that field, who has done it, who has an experience, I guess like they know, and then they can also give you advice. So those are the two options you have. But clearly, if it's a UK company, they want, it doesn't matter where the founder is, as long as the company is registered in the UK, that's a UK company. If it's not registered in the UK, that's not a UK company.
That settles it. That settles it. The fight is settled already. So I don't have any addition to it. What I just want to add to this is that everybody, thank you so much for joining the session. You can connect with Mr. Oladapo Folarin on LinkedIn. His website is in the description. For those who be watching this on YouTube, his website, and you can connect with him to engage in. He consults for the academia and research route for the UK Global Talent Business. So if you have been thinking of navigating this route, I think you should consult with him, right? And it does so where you can see the details to which he has gone, on the score, and then his results speak for him. Yeah. So and beyond just trying to consult him for this thing, connect with him is a very go-to person, is very welcoming. I mean, I got connected to you this month, right? Yeah. So I mean, it was this month I told him about this meeting, and he showed up. So he's a very welcoming person. So it means you can always approach him. So I really and beyond also GTV relationships, you can, in terms of professional advice, establishing yourself as an academic leader, research leader, is your go-to person right here, right? And his case is a very unique case because it is not, a professor that's got the global talents. We would have multiple sessions in the very future, nearest future, where professors, those ones that like is as if they have all the appellations to themselves, but he's like an underdog, but not actually an underdog. That's the unique situation, right? So, and I think it brings a lot to the table for you. So, yeah, do well to connect with him on LinkedIn, reach out to him, and God bless you. And then also, finally, uh, yeah, uh, watch for that Goloko Dice is really to take your success on a flight. They are very much interested in helping your partner with you to activate the possibility, the potential you've been seeing about yourself, especially, uh, via uh, global positioning endeavors across UK jobs and visas, book publishing, and general writing and project. So if you'd like to proceed, whether from talks around your global talent application across any of the routes, you can just reach out to any of the team. You can check our website, also in the description, or reach out to me also in the description. Or in fact, you can join the launch circle. This is an initiative brought to you by the launch circle. And the launch circle, our dream for the launch circle is that the launch circle is going to be a platform where global opportunities are shared, global insight and opportunities are shared. So beyond just this from DAO to endorsement and our regular masterclasses that we hold around the GTV, we'll be sharing things about, travel opportunities, fully funded travel opportunities that are well vetted, fully funded work opportunities that are well vetted across the board that helps you to actually take your success on a flight. I mean, this time around, before we even talk about rhetorically, I mean literally, just to make sure you get on the plane and you are international, not just on the global space in terms of online, but also, actually. So reach out, join the launch circle bit.ly/GTV Goloko Diaries, Goloko. Uh, you can always consult with us for our services and all of that. And then as you do so, I believe that you have the very best of results, and we are willing and ready to also add you to a list of success stories of people who have been taken on a flight, right? Thank you so much, everyone, once again. Mr. Oladapo, really appreciate you for honoring our invitation.
Thank you for
owe you
having
so much gratitude and honor. God bless you. My regards to the family. Sorry for taking 60 more minutes of your time. My regards to the family. God bless you. God bless you, everyone.